Sorry?
I'm recording the session.
Good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Radha Bhataite. Radhe
Jaya
Jaya
Jaya Madhav.
Hey Rama,
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari. So today, in anticipation for the appearance of Srimati Radharani, we are going to remember her. Remember Srimati Radharani. Different ways to remember her. Mostly what is very important is to understand who is Srimati Radharani. First, which is called Sambandha Gyan. Who is she actually? Srimati. Her name is Srimati Radharani Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwari Gandharvika Bhanutanaya Radha. When you come to Vrindavan, her name is everywhere. written on the trees, written on the walls, Sri Radha. And Lord Krishna is worshipped along with her, his consort, Srimati Radharani. So when we look at the transcendental reality, there are two ways to understand. One is called tattva and one is called rasa. The tattva means the philosophical understanding, and the rasa means the relationships and how we can relate to these personalities, how we are connected to the personalities, how they are connected with each other. The transcendental science of divine relationships, of divine love. So today we are going to look at the tattva part, because for us who are devotees of the Lord, simple devotees actually, it is important to first understand philosophy. Otherwise, when we look at Radha and Krishna, actually, many people consider Radha and Krishna to be like a young boy and a young girl, loving each other. And sometimes the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, which are divine activities, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Krishna says, that my birth and activities, they are divine. And this includes his activities in relationship with Srimati Radharani. These are divine activities. And unless we have a philosophical understanding, and unless we have purified our consciousness to a great extent from material lust, material desires, material understanding, perceptions, we certainly cannot approach the transcendental reality of Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani stands supreme in the realm of Vrindavan. It is said Krishna bows down at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So how to understand the position of Srimati Radharani? I will read from a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave in Melbourne in 1974. Someone asked the question, how do we understand Srimati Radharani? And Srila Prabhupada answers, she is spiritual energy. She is Krishna's pleasure potency. She is Krishna's spiritual potency. So she is the energy of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada always speaks of the energetic, that is the Lord. He is the source of everything. And what is this everything? This everything is his energy, which comes from him. Then the devotee asks, she is not a jiva? Because we know we are not this body, we are the jiva. The jiva is also spiritual energy. So the devotee is asking, so she is not jiva? Is she one of us who is very fortunate? Srila Prabhupada says, no, no, no. She is Krishna. So first he said she is Krishna's energy. Now he said she is Krishna. Krishna divided himself into his energy and himself. That energy, that original spiritual energy, is Radharani. That is stated by Srila Jiva Goswami. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Halladini Shaktirasma. When Krishna wants pleasure, he cannot accept the inferior energy. The same superior energy, Krishna, is divided into two. That is Radha and Krishna. And again, when they unite, that is Lord Chaitanya. So the Lord is one, we know. He is one without a second, meaning there's no one equal to him. There is no one superior to him. And he is transcendental to this material manifestation. And the material manifestation is temporary, ever-changing, and Krishna is eternal and always the same. Krishna cannot enjoy the material energy. He enjoys the spiritual potency, which is equal to him in nature, which is himself. Sometimes Prabhupada said there is the inside and there is the outside. Like when we meet someone, we see the external feature. But then when we come to know the person, we know that, oh, there is an internal world inside the person. There is the external aspect and then there is the internal aspect. So Srimati Radharani is the inside of Krishna. She is Krishna's nature. And when Krishna desires relationship, and that too, a supremely perfect relationship, then that inner part of himself separates itself from him and takes the form of Srimati Radharani. Her form is also eternal. They are eternally manifested in the realm of Vrindavan. But they can also rejoin. They have separated themselves eternally for the sake of interacting. And from this interaction, love is generated and pleasure is happiness, ananda. Krishna is known as Anandamayo Prasahanta. He is the supreme enjoyer, and his condition is eternal bliss. And this eternal bliss manifests through the interaction with his internal potency, Srimati Radharani. So she is Krishna himself, but separated from him. Now they look like two entities, but actually they are one. And they can interact. This is the magic of the internal potency, that of the internal, the workings of the internal potency. One divides into two, but it's still one. 1 + 1 = 1. 1 less 1 is still 1. Different laws than the laws that we know here. 1 + 1 is 2 for us, and 1 less 1 is 0. But on a transcendental platform, Purna Mudachyate, when you take out something from the Lord who is complete, he remains complete. And whatever comes out of him is also complete. So Srimati Radharani comes from Krishna, but she is not someone else. She is Krishna himself. However, on the platform of rasa, which we spoke about, they become two personalities and they interact together. And it is from their interaction that the universal bliss is generated. Their interaction generates intense bliss. And all the devotees who are connected to them in the mood of service partake in that bliss. Sometimes Prabhupada said Krishna is the root of the tree. and we are the leaves. When water is poured on the root of the tree, the leaves become enlivened. So similarly, when Radha and Krishna, who are the root of creation, become, by their interaction, become inundated with bliss, everyone who is like a leaf, part of the eternal tree of Krishna, everyone who is connected to them in service becomes blissful. So from Radha and Krishna spreads bliss all over, what did you say, existence, we could say, because they are not even situated in the created world, they are situated in the transcendental world. So this is very interesting, right? This is the tattva, that she is the spiritual potency of the Lord. And Prabhupada has explained that the energy of the Lord is divided into three. There is the internal potency, which we just spoke about, transcendental energy, which is eternal and full of bliss. Krishna is Satchit Ananda, Satchit Ananda. These are his characteristics, and this is the characteristics of his internal potency. And then there is the marginal potency, which is a spark, we would say, of the internal potency. The marginal potency is also internal potency, but a spark of it. And this spark is the jiva that we are. And as a spark of the internal potency, we belong to Radhika. Although we say we belong to Krishna and so on, but we are part of his energy. We are his energy. So we belong to that internal potency. But we are a little fragment of this internal potency. And the devotees seek the blessings of Srimati Radharani, seek to connect themselves with Srimati Radharani. Because on our own, being so tiny, we do not have actually the power to please Krishna. We can please him when we are connected favorably with his eternal potency. When Srimati Radhika glances mercifully on the jiva becomes endowed with her own energy, and thus can please Krishna by his activities. And therefore, in the Nectar of Devotion, if you want to know about Srimati Radharani, the book is the Nectar of Devotion. Srimati Radhika is hardly mentioned. She's secretly mentioned by Shukadeva Goswami in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But she is widely described in the Nectar of Devotion. She's also described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And these two books are actually higher studies in Krishna consciousness. So she is spiritual energy. She is not the Jiva Shakti. She is the internal potency. And the material potency, which is the third potency, is a reflection of her. It's a reflection of the internal potency. And as such, the material energy, in one sense, is also Devi Yesha Gunamaya. She is also eternal, but the manifestation which we perceive, that is temporary. It is sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. The universes are created and then they are destroyed with the inhaling and exhaling of Mahavishnu. So she is also known as the pleasure, Hladini Shakti, we heard. Hladini Shakti Asmat. She is the pleasure potency of Krishna. Krishna cannot take complete pleasure from any other personality than Srimati Radhika. Why? Because she is the complete energy of the Lord. All energies are otherwise emanating from Srimati Radharani. All the Lakshmis of the spiritual world, all the gopis of Golok Vrindavan are all emanations of Srimati Radharani. All the Lakshmis of the Vaikuntha planets are emanations of Srimati Radharani. So every time she is the consort of Krishna, she's always with him. They are never separated. When Krishna expands into Narayana, she expands as Lakshmi. Krishna expands as Ram, she becomes Sita. So when Krishna expands, there is always a parallel expansion of his energy, because the absolute truth is a twofold personality, Radha and Krishna. He expands, she expands. Lord Nishinga appears, along with him appears his Lakshmi. So she is everywhere where the Lord is. And she is the shelter of the devotees. She's also known as the energy of compassion. She is, we said, she is the inner nature of Krishna. Very loving, very compassionate. She is known as Karunamayi Radhe, Kripamayi Radhe. She is Karunamayi, the one who is full of compassion. Always pleading to the Lord, please accept this devotee. Please accept the service of this devotee. She's most merciful. Sometimes described as the mother. That she has that. All the motherly nature comes from Srimati Radharani. And very, very compassionate. Very, very merciful. We pray to Radha. And Srila Rupa Goswami says that the heart of Radha can only be compared to the heart of Radha can only be compared to Makhan, Navanita, freshly churned butter. Nowadays we buy Amul butter here in India, called tea also. We buy Amul butter, but I had the good fortune when I was a child to churn the the cream, the milk, and we churn, and then the butter emerges, and butter is soft, and as soon as you touch it with the little heat of your finger, it immediately melts. It is soft, it is fragrant, and as soon as you touch it, you can't take it in the hand, it just dissolves, it melts. So this is the heart of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, the devotees pray to Srimati Radharani, Prabhupada says. They pray to Krishna, but when they understand a little further, they pray to Srimati Radharani, because she is the most merciful mother, who is ready to bestow all her love, mercy. She is the one who gives us entrance into the service of Sri Krishna. By her blessings, she is the energy of devotion. So, okay. Besides that, Srila Rupa Goswami also describes Srimati Radharani as the topmost devotee. She is the topmost devotee. Meaning that there are many kinds of devotees, of people who are serving the Lord, who are obedient to the Lord. This is described in the Nectar of Instruction. There's a very beautiful verse, verse number 10, that Rupa Goswami has written. We are going to sing a little part of it. This is what he says. Karamibhya paritahare priyataya yaktim yayurnyanina evyo jnana vimukta bhakti parama premeka nishtastatha devyasta pashupala pankajadrishas tabhyo visaradhika. Very beautiful poetry to explain the position of Radhika. Tebhyo pisa Radhika. She is the topmost devotee. And when does one begin to be a devotee? So according to the Shastra, the very beginning step of being a devotee is to accept the instructions of the Vedas or the instructions of the Shastra, to recognize the presence of God, the existence of God, and to sacrifice something unto Him, at least a part of one's earning or so. So, as we know, the lowest of all people are those called vikarmis, sinful. When the entity does not listen to any warnings of the Shastra, any guidance of the Shastra, and acts without any restraint, just following one's instincts, animalistic instincts, just following one's material desire, one is called a vikarmi, a sinful person who acts neither for the benefit of himself nor for the benefit of others, although being extremely self-centered, egoistic in nature. But whatever acts one performs which are sinful are actually maybe the source of temporary happiness through the senses, but they lead to a life of suffering. So more intelligent than that are the karmis, and this is where Rupa Goswami starts here. The karmis, those who are selfish but understand that they should follow the laws of God. So if they want sex life, they know they should get married. If they eat, they know they should sacrifice the food. So like that, they recognize the presence of the Lord. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagathena tyaktena bhunjita magrada vasasvithanam. So such personalities, but superior to them are the jnanis, because the karmis are still self-centered and interested in self-gratification. The jnanis are detached from self-gratification. They understood it's useless to try to take pleasure in matter. We must transcend. So those who are trying to transcend material energy, they are superior. And then amongst those, there are those who are called here the Jnana Vimukta Bhakti Parama. Those who are described in the Bhagavad Gita, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, that after many Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, after many births of cultivating this knowledge of the Supreme, those who finally understand Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So these great souls who come to Bhakti, who understand the devotion to God, and who begin worshipping the Lord, they are superior. And amongst all of these are, then they start practicing devotion. And superior to them are those who have attained devotion. Prema ekanishta, those who are fixed in love of the Lord, who have attained love of the Lord. But that may be love in Aishwarya Bhav, that may be, love for the Lord, but not the ultimate love as we hear about it in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Those who worship the Lord but with some awe and reverence, but are actually devotees of the Lord. So they are superior. And superior to them, it says here, Tebhya sta pashupal pankaja drisasa. This refers to the gopis. That there is another type of devotee that is superior. Those who worship the Lord in Madhurya, in intimacy, instead of worshiping the Lord in Aishwarya. Oh Lord. Those who worship the Lord with intimacy. And we know this, that means in the direct personal relationships, such as a parental relationship or a friendly relationship, or a loving, the relationship of a lover, a shringar rasa, madhurya rasa. So these ones are superior. And then it says, Tadyo Pisa Radhika. And of all the gopis, amongst all the gopis, there is Radhika. She is the topmost. And this is described by Srila Shukadeva Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, that when the Rasa dance once was going on, Krishna actually escaped the circle of the gopis, taking away with him one gopi. Anaya araditaha. Anaya araditaha. These are the only words in Srimad Bhagavatam that you will find which speak about Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada said that Shukadeva was such a great devotee of Srimati Radharani that he knew that if he would just mention her name and start meditating on her, if you just mention her name, he would immediately go in ecstasy and would not be able to continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam. And also because even though today everybody is very enthusiastic to say Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe Radhe, and we talk of so many stories of Radharani and Krishna is sitting under the tree and he is kissing her on the cheek and he is moving her veil on the side and most of the time people who describe these activities between Radha and Krishna in their personal life are still to so much sense gratification. And they are taking some kind of pleasure in speaking of the activities of Radha and Krishna, but they do not have the sufficient spiritual vision to actually understand what they are talking about. They think it's like a mundane story of a girl and a boy. No. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami considered the knowledge of Radha to be most advanced and most secret, not to be propagated. And we see this similarly with Lord Chaitanya. He would not, when he was going on the street, he was preaching, he was discussing with people, he would never speak of the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. For what? What will people understand of it? Before, to understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, one needs to be actually liberated. Or one must hear those pastimes from someone who is liberated. Those pastimes are certainly very powerful to remind us of our original nature, but they have to be heard under certain circumstances which involve the presence of this internal potency. So So here, Rupa Goswami has described that Srimati Radharani is the topmost of all the devotees. Is describing the love of the gopis. He says, the gopis are recognized as superior amongst all the devotees because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna. So here we start understanding what is the status of the gopis and of Radha. They know only to satisfy Krishna. There is nothing self-centered in Srimati Radhika. There's nothing, not an ounce or a shadow of self-centeredness in the gopis. Whatever they do is meant to please the Lord. The way they dress, the way they speak, the way they decorate themselves, the way they smile, everything in them is with one thought. This will enhance the pleasure of Krishna. We are meant for his pleasure. That is the mentality of the gopis. Nor do the gopis expect anything in return from Krishna. So that is very rare, very far from most of the type of worship that people perform. We go to Krishna, oh Krishna, 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 please, please, please. Usually that is the mood when we go to the Lord. Please, please, oh Krishna. Krishna is listening, yes? Please what? What do you want? What do you want? And usually we want something. Krishna, protect me. Krishna, protect my father, protect my dog, protect my house. Krishna, give me this, give me that. Oh Krishna, I love you so much. So the mentality of Srimati Radhika and the gopis is not that. It is always, oh, please engage me, engage us in your service. That is the only concern of the topmost devotees. Sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Like we see when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he's leaving the gopis, he's leaving his parents, he's leaving everyone behind. And the most affected are the gopis because they had no other identity than being Krishna's. And he leaves them behind. Nonetheless, they cannot forget him. And they remain with him. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis became most dejected and spent the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. And this separation from Krishna, that was their way to remain with him. Because when someone goes away, leaving you, there are two things you can do. It's either you just cross this person out of your contact book, and you just forget about the person. Out of sight, out of mind. Person is gone, gone. Don't want to hear. That person hurt you. You don't want to hear about that person anymore. Or you have the other solution, that you keep remembering that person, meaning you do not separate yourself from that person, but you keep that person. And since the person is not externally present, you internalize the person and you feel separation. When you cut the relationship, there is no separation. But when you keep the relationship, then there is a feeling of pain and separation. But that separation itself is the union. It means you are still with the person. If you feel separation, it means you are connected to the person. And in fact, Lord Chaitanya has told us that the greatest connection, the most intense connection with another is actually when we feel the pain of separation. So that is the love of the gopis, that when Krishna is with them, they are completely dedicated to him. And when Krishna is not there, they are completely fixed. Remember Krishna and never forget him. This is the philosophy of the gopis and of Srimati Radharani. So here Prabhupada further says, thus of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional service to Krishna, the gopis are most exalted, completely selfless, dedicated to Krishna, everything, their life, their breath, their body, their everything is dedicated to him. And out of all these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani, and therefore Krishna took her away from the rasa dance and spend time with her. And we explained already how is she so favorite. It's because she is the original potency. All others are only small portions of her. So the greatest happiness he enjoys with the full manifestation of his energy. So that is the identity of Srimati Radharani. So it is important for us to understand that. That we, just as when we talk of Krishna, if we study Srimad Bhagavatam, we develop an image of God which is so much greater than what we ever thought before. We thought that God meant the creator of the universe. But when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that he is not the creator of the universe. He is the creator of an unlimited number of universes. And not just that, not that he creates one time an unlimited number of universes, but he does that at every breath for eternity. Universes has been generated and destroyed and generated and destroyed and generated and destroyed continuously. What power is the power of God? So when we come to know that Srimati Radharani is the total energy of Lord Krishna, we can understand that as he is mighty and great, so she is. So Prabhupada was sometimes displeased when people were singing. They sing this song in Vrindavan. They have this song, and they say, Radharani ki jai, Maharani ki jai, Barshane wali ki jai, 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 Radharani ki jai, Maharani ki jai. Prabhupada didn't like that song. Barshane wali, like Dudh wali or Karm karne wali or something, Hindi term, usually used for some kind of low-class person. So this is not Barshane wali. In one sense, we know she is the one from Varshana. She's known. She lived, her parents lived in Varshana. But we cannot relate to Srimati Radharani as just somebody from the same village. We can do that on the platform of rasa. But that is on the spiritual platform, on the liberated platform. But from the position where we are now, Srimati Radhika is most worshipable. She stands on the altar on the left side of the Lord. Sri Prabhupada explains this, that the energy of the Lord is always kept on the left side of the Lord. The Lord is the master, and on his left side stands his energy. And similarly, we ourselves should always stand on the left side of the Lord. When we go and pay obeisances in the temple, we expose our left side to the Lord and pay our obeisances, not the other way around, not showing the feet to Krishna, or not showing our right side, we show the left side. And that is understood. That is the left side of Krishna, on that side. And I stand on the left side of Krishna. Following in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani. So we'll speak a little bit more about Srimati Radharani in the sense of how to understand her and how to attain her favor. And how to attain her favor has been taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And remember, who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Srila Prabhupada was speaking in his lecture, which I mentioned in the beginning of this lecture, that Radha and Krishna, who are eternally separated, can also unite and become again one person. And that personality is Chaitanya, the total living force, the origin of everything. So Lord Chaitanya descends in this world. He is an incarnation of Krishna and Radha combined. Radha Krishna nahi anya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Krishna nahi anya. He is non-different from Radha and Krishna. And the way he presents himself is actually, he doesn't present himself, he's called sometimes Chinna Avatar, the hidden avatar. Because he does not present himself as the Lord, but he presents himself as a devotee of the Lord. In other words, he takes the place of Srimati Radharani. And why he does that, Srila Prabhupada explains that he does this to understand Srimati Radharani. When they are interacting together, and Krishna is looking at Radha, and he cannot understand how is she so dedicated to me? How is she so happy? It appears that by serving me, she experiences a happiness which is higher than mine. And so how can I know? How can I know the happiness, the bliss that Srimati Radharani experiences? And in order to know that bliss, and in order to know his own beauty, because Radharani is seeing Krishna, he's seeing Radha, she's seeing Krishna. In order to know his own beauty, Krishna descends in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And he is a devotee, which means he's in the mood of Srimati Radha. He's in the mood of a worshipper of himself. But Antar, Krishna. Within, he is Lord Krishna. Outside, he is Radha, the golden avatar. Gaurangi, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. Srimati Radharani's complexion is that of the color of molten gold. She's golden in complexion and effulgent. I heard someone one time saying how they had actually purposely went to a goldsmith to actually see when they heat up the gold, what it looks like. And apparently, I haven't seen myself, but I was hearing how it's actually amazing, how the hot gold actually shines, is effulgent, it is throwing an effulgence. So Radharani's complexion is like this. She's effulgent. As Krishna is bluish, she is golden in color. Lord Chaitanya is golden in color. And he's teaching us how to attain Krishna and how to develop devotion for Krishna and how to understand Srimati Radharani. What she is, what is it that she feels? Because actually, entering the spiritual world means that we develop a relationship with Krishna. That spiritual world is a personal realm. And just as nobody can enter our house unless we allow, unless we understand the relationship. Is it a relative? Is it a friend? Is it a vendor? We have to understand the relationship. And if we accept the relationship, then we allow the person in for an exchange. So in the spiritual world is like that. We don't reach there just by rolling our shoulders. No, we reach there after developing a relationship. So how do we develop a relationship? So this is explained by Srila Radhashtami, that we need to emulate the feelings of the residents of Vraja. We have to observe them. We have to observe them and see how they love Krishna, what kind of feelings they have for Krishna, and how these feelings make them behave. And by following, by understanding the mood and by adopting the mood of the residents of Vraja, we develop that mood. And when the mood is developed, then we can enter in the relationship. So there is no chance for us to become Srimati Radharani. She's already there. In fact, all the gopis are already there. Lalita, Vishaka, Adi, the Manjaris are there. All the intimate internal associates of the Lord are there. We enter the spiritual world as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servants. But that doesn't mean that we are somewhere in a corner, remote, ignored. No. On the spiritual platform, relationships are very dynamic, and Krishna is the one who is capable of relating with everyone at once, so that no one feels left out, but on the contrary, everyone feels very dear to him. So to understand Srimati Radharani's love, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a process. And that process is not exactly to just hear all these pastimes of how Krishna and Radharani relate, but it begins first with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It begins with the performance of the Sankirtan Yajna. And this is what Lord Chaitanya would do. And he would also hear Srimad Bhagavatam. He would hear about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But unless we are steeped in the chanting of the Mahamantra, there is no way that we can understand Srimati Radharani. So this is our lesson for today. Understanding the Tattva, who is Srimati Radharani, and understanding how we can understand her love and understand her nature, understand who she is. We have to first elevate ourselves on the spiritual platform. And that begins with chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimati Radharani ki.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Thank you. Congratulations, Prashanta.
I'm a good student.
Very good. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. Kindly ask your questions. There are no questions on the chat. So feel free to ask your question personally.
So, Prashanta Prabhuji, you have to make it as brief as short so more questions can pour in the next 10 minutes. All right?
Let's see, first of all, are there any questions? Or everybody went to sleep?
Everybody is steeped in love, just poured out.
So no questions?
Sorry, Hare Krishna Mataji. I was
Yes,
saying
who is
something
this?
and I was muted. My name is Vivek Bharadwaj Mataji. And
Welcome.
yeah, thank you, Mataji, thank you. Okay, there are two questions or rather expressions I want to express here. One is that, when you ask questions or when you say ask questions, you need to give 5-7 minutes. Same thing you said just now. Because we go so much deep inside that it needs time to come out. We have so many questions back of our mind, but they don't come in front. And that's what I appreciate Mansiyanga Mataji, that she puts up. She knows our condition where we are. So she puts up the first question always. And we are thankful to her. Then they start coming. And the second expression is that even last time when you were telling about, on Krishna Janmashtami, you were expressing about Krishna was born and these things, and now today about Radharani. You take us deep inside actually the way you express. And really your expressions or maybe blessings through you which come to us also is very, very different. And that's why, I leave everything on Saturday evening and try to attend. It pulls and it feels better. You go there actually. I'm born in Aligarh, which is very close to Mathura, and I reach there every time. Last time also I reached there. Today also I reached there. I never, felt that much close to Aligarh and Mathura and those places. I used to go so much, so frequently, when I was born and my childhood was there in that area. But now I feel connected to once I hear from you those things. I want to go again and again and again everywhere. So thanks, Mataji. It's
Hare Krishna Vivek. Yes, our connection is through hearing. Srila Prabhupada always said that we see through hearing. There is a story with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was taking Brajmandal Parikrama. And at some point they were in Koshi. You must be knowing those places. They were in
yes,
Koshi.
I know.
Koshi Kalan. And nearby that area, there is a place, Sheshashai. It is a place where there is a darshan of Lord Vishnu lying down. So one day they had set up camp, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati announced that today I will stay here. So the plan was that he was going to stay in the camp in Koshi and he was going to give lecture. And everybody knew that when Bhaktisiddhanta gives lecture, it goes on for hours. And then he says, but people are free. Those who want to go, they can go for darshan. Because when you go to Koshi, in Koshi, there is nothing to see, but nearby, there is this Sheshashai. So those who want, they can go and have darshan of Sheshashai. So most of the people, they actually chose to go for darshan because darshan is so important. Darshan is so important. And a lesser proportion of the people, they stayed and they listened to his lecture. Srila Prabhupada, of course, stayed for the lecture. And at some point, some people were coming back from Sheshashai in the evening. And when they came back, Prabhupada was there, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati asked them, how was your eye exercise? How was your eye exercise? Means you went in front of the deity and you look up and down and side and ways and you opened, you blinked. This was your eye exercise. So Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati very clearly explain this thing, that we see through the ear. When we hear, it is Shabda Praman. It is the divine sound that has been heard in Guru Parampara. It descends and it carries the image of Krishna. It carries the form. Just as the wind, when it passes over a rose bush, it captures the aroma. And it carries the aroma. And when this aroma enters the nostrils of somebody, they experience the beauty of the rose, the nature of the rose. So similarly, the sound emanates from Krishna himself, from the lotus mouth of Krishna. He speaks the Vedic knowledge. Krishna is, or the sound is called mantra murti. He is the Lord in the form of mantra. So when that sound, which it encapsulates the nature of Krishna, the form of Krishna, everything about him is described in the sound. And when it is carried, not by the wind, but it is carried on the waves, the aroma of Krishna's lotus feet, his nature, and everything about him is carried on the wind of the Vedas, it is said. It's carried on the wind of the Vedas. And it enters not the nostrils, it enters the ear. When it enters the whole of the ear, then it goes inside and it releases the fragrance. So we see by hearing. That's
Very
why
true,
whenever you go to Vrindavan, to go in a place of pilgrimage doesn't mean that you just bathe in the holy river. Prabhupada says, Saiva Gokara. This is the pilgrimage of the go and the asses, the animals. They go to a holy place, they go to holy river and they bathe in the river and they drink the river water and so on. Most of the pilgrims do that. But the real pilgrimage is bathing in Saraswati, which is the river of sound, which comes through the mouths of the saintly people who stay in the holy places. And bathing in Ganga Yamuna is not sufficient. We have to bathe in the holy sound, and then only our eyes open and we can see. That is what Srila Prabhupada says. Hare Krishna.
So can I interrupt now? Prashanta Prabhuji, next
I did
Saturday.
my best. I gave a short answer.
Yes. So short, sweet, explicit, proper answer. Now 29th, next Saturday, you're available. Say yes, please.
Yes, you already booked me.
Thank you. So are you ready for Radharani, or you want to speak on Vamandev Appearance Day or Jiva Goswami? Probably Vamandev would be good. Or Radharani, up to you, since I did tell you to do Radharani for 2 sessions. Kirtika or Kirtika? Sorry? Kirtika.
You said Radharani 2 sessions. Today we did Tattva. Next time we are doing Rasa.
Okay, fine, great. No problem. If you're, I just thought it's also Vamandev's Appearance Day, Jiva Goswami. And you're a Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Manjari, I'm sure. So that's, I thought maybe. All right, we'll do the Rasa next week.
Well, Vamanadev is also an expansion, a manifestation of the beauty of Krishna. In that sense, he's connected to Radha.
Yeah. So, okay, Kirtika, have you disappeared? You're there.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm really steeped in the nectar that was poured out today.
So you can ask others to join, those who are available for the next session. Of course, Prashanta will let her go. She has more engagement than we. Yeah. Okay.
It's
I
next
will.
Saturday, not tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I'm leaving because I have an urgent thing to do
We are closing.
before I get on. Thank you very much, everyone. Anthony, Prana was there. So some people left. They came for the first time, so I'm really glad, but I couldn't acknowledge, but I've acknowledged them separately. Okay, Prashanta, Haribol, take care. See you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Path Prabhuji, I'm handing it over to you. Let
Okay,
us,
thank you very much. Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. It's a very wonderful explanation about Radharani, the Radharani festival. The Radhashtami is upcoming festival is 26th of this month, and we are so glad to hearing you about the pastimes of Radharani and what is the potency of Radharani and other things. So, on behalf of ISKCON Eldoret, I welcome you. So grateful to you for your giving your time and giving your knowledge. Also, the same time, I will also thanks all the participants who joined with this group. We are so grateful to you. Hare Krishna. For a pleasure of Mataji, for a glorification of Mataji, please chant Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपसिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
okay, Hare Krishna. I'm ending this meeting.
Hare Krishna, Kartika Mataji.
Let's go to the children's meeting. The link has been sent. We have one of our participants who has been chosen as one of the 5 in the whole of Kenya. So let's go and support him. Hare Krishna.
Okay.